Hey, how's it going, you guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be installing this Jackson Racing oil cooler on my track-ready 2013 Scion FR-S. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and talk about the tools you need for this job. If you purchase this from a vendor, you will be supplied an instructions manual. Inside the manual will include this list of tools that you'll need, which includes the following: a variety of metric wrenches from 8mm to 19mm, a variety of metric sockets from 8mm to 19mm, a set of Phillips and flathead screwdrivers, a set of metric Allen wrenches, a set of pliers, a plastic trim and clip remover, a set of AN wrenches. If you don't have any, an adjustable wrench will do. However, you may damage your fittings. Then you'll need a torque wrench. And last but not least, for this oil cooler, you will need about an additional liter of oil for future oil changes. And in this case, I went with Liqui Moly Engine 5W30. And to start, let's go ahead and disconnect the battery. If you have a tow hook, now is also a good time to remove that as well. And to begin removing the front bumper, you'll need to remove this top trim right here. It's being held by just a few bolts and bumper clips. Next, we'll need to remove the side markers. My lights are only being held by 3M tape, so I'm just gonna rip them off. Once those are off, we'll need to disconnect them as well. And while you're here, don't forget about the bumper clips in here. Next, we'll need to remove the wheel liners. You can do this by just removing the bumper clips here, but because I do have an aftermarket lip, I'll need to remove these screws as well. After that, you should just be able to pull the liners free. Now let's go to the bottom. There are a few bolts and bumper clips down here that will need to be removed. Once that's done, be sure to disconnect all the lights. And now you should be able to pull off the bumper. Next, we'll need to remove the intake system. So let's go ahead and start by removing the intake with these clips here. Now there are just a few more bolts to remove. There's also one down here by the cam covers. And with that gone, we should be able to take off this part of the intake system. And now let's go ahead and remove the front part, which are just being held by a few screws. Next, let's remove the driver's side headlight. We will need to remove the brackets first, which is being held by just a few screws. With the screws gone, you'll need to remove all the wires, and then you should be able to pull out the headlights now. Now it's time to start putting together the oil cooler. Let's go ahead and remove the old oil filter. Next, let's put on the spacer. Be sure to lubricate all the O-rings. Now let's put on the sandwich plate. After that, let's go ahead and tighten the system with the adapter fitting. And for me, I just tightened it until it was snug. Now we're gonna need to relocate the windshield washer reservoir. The kit comes with a bracket for this purpose. Just make sure you tighten everything down. Now it's time to start putting on the oil cooler lines. For this, I applied some Teflon tape on MPT fittings. Then I tightened both fittings down with my hand. Once the fittings are tight, I screwed on the oil cooler lines. Follow the instructions and be sure to oil all the O-rings for this step as well. Now it's time to put on the oil cooler bracket. For this install, we utilized the OEM horn location to hold the right side of the oil cooler. This kit also provides a bolt and nut to hold the left side of the oil cooler. It's a bit hard to see, but I utilized this tight location down here to hold the bracket. Once the bolts and nuts are tightened, the bracket shouldn't be going anywhere. Now it's time to attach the lines to the oil cooler. The longer line goes to the right side and the shorter to the left. Now is also a good time to tighten it to ensure that no leaks occur. Next, we'll need to attach the oil cooler to the brackets. This kit does come with some padding and bolts for this purpose. Once you align the hose, you will need to tighten the bolts until the paddings start to distort. Afterwards, it's time to start zip tying and making sure that there's room for the headlights. Once those are squared away, now is also the time to make sure that all the fittings and bolts are tightened down. Jackson Racing doesn't provide any torque specs on the instruction manual, so I just tightened them down until snug. Once everything is tightened down, I added about half a quart of new oil before priming the engine. And to prime the engine, I just applied the brakes and the accelerator pedal several times with the keys in the ignition. Now it's time to start the engine. Listen carefully for any abnormal noises. With the engine running, also be sure to check for any leaks at the sandwich plate and the oil cooler. Do note that the amount of oil going to the cooler will be minimal until the thermostat opens. Once you confirm that there are no oil leaks, then it's time to put everything back together. And once that's complete, let's go ahead and take it out for a test drive.